Welcome to our November episode of Tyden Talks. This week we are joined by Spencer Davis, the General Manager for TydenBrooks EMEA. Spencer has managed the EMEA sales and operations since 2015. Spencer, thank you for joining us today on the podcast. I know you're on the road, and I heard you were in some fairly big meetings, I believe, with some airlines today. So we do appreciate you joining us.
Oh, no, Jeremy, absolute pleasure. It's great to be on the call. Yeah, fantastic. Good to be here.
Excellent. Well, thank you. And, really, I kind of, to kick off the discussion, I firstly wanted to give everybody the opportunity to learn about your professional background in the supply chain security industry, managing obviously in EMEA operations for 7 years. There's definitely been a lot of growth and expansion, but really, your experience and career goes back much further, starting with EnvoPack and ITW. Maybe you could share little details on that with everyone.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, yeah, EnvoPack for me started back in 1998. So I've got almost 25 years experience in the industry. I started my career in the security seal business with EnvoPack back in 98, as said. Then there was through to an acquisition in 2002 with ITW, which sort of kick-started everything off in terms of what we were trying to do as a business back then. We were heavily involved with automation, although automation took the business probably in excess of about 10 years. And then we started to get into simplification and 80-20 programs as well. So we could identify our top selling parts, and obviously our largest sectors too within the business. And then based upon that, we drove a lot of the business through laser marking. So what we would do is take off all of the hot foil and the thermal marking, switch that to laser marking, and then straight away through to automation. I would say, for me, working with the airline industry was a good grounding for me. So that would have been, probably around about 2005. And then back in 2005, there were quite a few players in the airline industry in terms of security seals, but there was no one really specialising in it. So the very first company for me was, as I said, back in 2005, was a company called Britannia Airways. Now, Britannia Airways was almost like a commercial airline in terms of a lot of holiday makers. Now that business has completely changed. It's actually owned by the TUI Group. So that just shows you how long ago that was for me working in the industry. And then there was various parts that got, designed and developed, working with the airlines, understanding their needs, to everything that happened. So, if you're looking at a traditional pull-up seal, the two carts would clash together. So, there was various discussions had. And then there was reusable types of products that were brought to the market. And for me, really influential. So that's where I am now. And now I'm working for TydenBrooks, the largest security seal manufacturer in the world.
Yeah. It's, it's both of us have been around quite a while. You're about, I think you got 4 years. I think I'm 21 years this year. Look at that. I've lost track. It's a diverse career that you have in a lot of different industries. And, obviously airlines is a huge one, especially over in EMEA, I think, versus, for us over in North America. You have a lot more airlines to deal with, and it's a much larger, industry in that sense. And actually speaking, to that, maybe there's some, initiatives you've been working on this year that you've implemented, and maybe there's a few top solutions, maybe one tied to airlines or different industry that you would want to share with everybody?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I tend to major in the airline industry. It's one that I'm proud of myself to have worked in for as many years. Got a lot of friends in that industry. A lot of airlines in that industry, I would consider that they look at myself for maybe wanting of the security needs. So Yeah, I mean, I've taken a lot of parts in the past and sort of like honed in on my knowledge. There's a brand new product that's been launched. To say brand new product now, it's almost 3 years old,
Hmm.
which is the Hawk Seal,
Yes.
and that's a reusable product. So it's a reusable padlock,
Yep.
which
Beautiful.
works with a disposable seal.
Excellent.
That was designed and brought to market, I would say, around about 2018, and now it's being used by a lot of airlines in the EMEA region, and I personally think as well is it's saved them a lot of time and money against their losses, and it's something now that keeps growing and growing. So for us, that's a huge growth sector for us, and that product just keeps growing and growing and growing. Um, Another product at well that's just doing absolutely fantastic is labels. We, for us, security labels and KNR voids. Again, that's big in the airline industry. We've just started to manufacture the with UV layering on now, so that puts another spin on the security. So rather than having just a conventional label which has void open when it's removed, which would be used on typically on airline doors to ensure that they're sealed correctly. The UV layering has got TydenBrooks running through it, so they always would know it was a genuine Tyden part. So you get a UV laser pen on top, you go straight over the top just to ensure that the labels are, number one, doing exactly what they're meant to do, and number two, they're buying through a obviously reseller like ourselves.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's an amazing solution. I remember viewing some of that, information on that new product that you've been working on, and for the rest overnight planes on the outside of it. And I think that counterfeit, issue is huge, right? With that authenticity that you can put by having the TydenBrooks and that in there is a big, important area that we're expanding on. Obviously, out there's all kinds of different counterfeit goods, and this is a way to identify that it's a genuine product.
I think the thing is as well, Jeremy, especially in the industry, is there's lots of people that want to deal and trade within the industry, which is great. But the problem is now is the World Wide Web. Unfortunately, there are places to maybe get this type of material, and then there's home printing systems that are available. So to actually have a UV layering system, which a lot of airlines now would relate to, anything that we can do to increase that security even more with, not necessarily just the airline sector, but for backs of transportation, so trucks and trailers, where, if you're taking a standard van and, you're driving that from A to B and then back to A again to ensure that that load is correct. Again, these labels are absolutely fantastic for that. And also just to pulse additional security. So, you may well be using a traditional plastic pull-up seal or a truck seal, but just to add that additional layer of security, to put one of them KNR labels on is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, and maybe in line with that, you could speak a bit to the TydenTrack, because again, I think that works nicely with what you just mentioned, and I know there was, I believe, some recycling, some stuff you wanted to share with the audience too.
Yeah, again, yeah. So TydenTrack and the recycling system that we're actually just launching now, but TydenTrack has been a fantastic tool for a couple of the airlines. So where you've got multiple outstations, if you can imagine, if you're head of procurement, you've got maybe, I don't know, between say 55 and 75 outstations that are all using security seals. It's very difficult for procurement to actually say, right, okay, how many seals have you got in stock, or are you getting low on your stock replenishments, for instance? So what they would tend to do is they would bulk order, and then they would sit on the shelf, and then they would run low again, and then you get the same situation. So with TydenTrack, what we're now doing is basically giving the permissions to the outstations to order the seals. They then get recorded. They then go back to the head office in procurement. They get authorized. Those orders come directly to us, and then we send them out. Not only do we track and trace the system online, okay, with the security numbers, what we would then also do is, the fulfillment. So if you're looking at forecasting for all of the outstations, We can give detailed reports on how many seals, for instance, Germany have used, say, out of Hamburg, or how many seals, you know, are being used down in Madrid. So we can gather all of this information and then also make sure there's no internal collusion either. So there's no seals that have been, you know, for instance, pocketed in Madrid and then they finally turn up in Hamburg. We can actually report this type of information to the security teams, and then quite quickly the culprits can be found and obviously brought to task.
That's amazing. And I mean, you know, again, it's like you said, and the value that's going to be added as this program expands. I'm sure it'll go to, like you say, not just airlines. I can see a lot of different industries, you know, utilizing it. And can you speak a bit about the recycling system program you're doing? I think it's more a 2023 initiative, but you really grabbed my attention when we were, you know, talking about it a few weeks back. And I just thought that would be something, considering everybody's today is trying to either recycle and reuse or, you know, remove waste from the landfill.
Yeah, no, 100%. And, you know, when you look at some of these global blue chip businesses, you know, your McDonald's and your Starbucks, they've already taken initiative, you know, by driving the plastic straws away and replacing them by paper, which is absolutely the right thing to do. So if you're looking at a typical plastic seal, I know that there's, you know, the competition out there. We've got competitors that have added bio pellets into that. But, you know, the biggest problem is with that is it still requests the customer to do something.
Right.
And what I mean by do something is they can't just go into natural landfill. They have to go into a controlled landfill with certain chemicals in the soil and everything else. And we've done a lot of tests and we've done a lot of trials with various chemicals in the plastics. And after accelerating the tests for over a 6-month period, the plastic was just not degrading. It wasn't breaking down the plastics. There's certain companies out there which are using other methods. You know, I've heard of bamboo, you know, which they're putting into certain plastics. And, you know, we've got a, you know, I know we've got a social responsibility, and number one, that is really important to ourselves, and foremost our customers. But I don't want our customers to be blindsided by, you know, we're going to put this special chemical into one of our seals and it's going to biodegrade and you can naturally throw it in your natural waste. It's just impossible. It's just not going to break down a security seal. So what we've put together, our recycling program, is a special holdall. All of the seals get collected into a holdall, which is almost like a trolley with a bag, which is a reusable bag, which is bespoke to the customer. The seals get loaded into the top. So these are all used seals that are collected.
Excellent.
We then put all of the seals into an octobin. Okay, the octobin then gets collected, so recycled properly. It gets collected. It all goes into regrind. The regrind then goes to various companies. So it will go to companies that are manufacturing school desks. It will be going to companies that are manufacturing cones or traffic lights. So this is anything that's mainly black because you put a black additive into it. But by doing this, it basically takes all of the seals away, broken seals away from the customer, and then it goes into a recycling system, and then we can start manufacturing products, you know, which we, you know, can give to charitable donations. So this will be for, as I said, for schools, maybe underprivileged schools in Ghana, which we're looking into now with various different charities. So we think that we're doing the right thing. We're not telling any of our customers that, oh yeah, all of our seals are biodegradable and they're, you know, you can just throw them in natural landfill and they're going to degrade. No, we're doing it the sensible way. We're going to get them collected. We're getting them recycled back into regrind, and then we're going to, you know, do a lot of good with the seal waste.
Yeah, I think that's just absolutely brilliant. And I know company wide, I'm sure we're going to expand on it. It's great that you and the EMEA team have taken the lead on this. And, you know, I'm sure we'll advance this and we'll innovate more. But you're right. I think we're going about it in a logical way. We're not trying to put a burden on our customers. You know, we're trying to say, hey, we're going to lead the program with you, but we're helping out, as you say, and contributing and making a lot less waste.
One of the customers, one of the airlines, I'm not going to say who the airline is at the moment, but over the last 2 months, we've managed to take out 1.2 million seals out of their system.
Amazing.
Okay, which is about 1.5 to 2 tons of waste, and we've saved that waste going into natural landfill.
We're making a positive impact, right, on society.
Absolutely.
And I think that's why when I first heard about what you were working on, was, extremely interested to learn more about it. And it's a big topic with companies now with their sustainability targets and programs. So it's good that we're working on that. Was there, any other, solutions, or was there other initiatives possibly that you wanted to elaborate on with everybody?
There are 2 or 3 which I'm working on, which is going to be exciting for 2023. So I'm going to keep them a little bit quiet for now, because I want another episode of you, Jeremy, in about 3 or 4 months' time. But
exactly,
for now, Hawkshill is huge. That's getting bigger and bigger. There's more and more traction now. TydenTrack, again, is huge. So many companies are getting into contact with us. So yeah, watch your space on further developments. But yeah, I would say our recycling programs, the Hawkshill, without question, number 1 at the moment.
Excellent. Well, look, thanks for, taking time with us today. And you're definitely right. There's no way we're not having another conversation, at least Q1 there, 2023, as you roll this out, or, maybe later in the year again, and just see what successes, come from all these different programs. But I definitely know a lot of people are going to be interested in these topics, and I look forward to everyone's comments. So thanks for joining us today. We definitely appreciate your time.
No, absolute pleasure. Thanks very much.
And I'll share kinds of information for you, Spencer, so everybody can reach out to you. So, our listeners can get in touch with you directly. And, for our listeners, they can also, follow us and learn more about us. We're on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. And of course, go to our websites. We got our TydenBrooks.com and of course our TydenBrooks.uk.